right, guys. Welcome back to the Pulse with Willie and Al. How's it going today, brother?
Hey, pretty good. It's Christmas Eve here, and yeah, we're
Yeah.
rocking and rolling. We're gonna get a white Christmas. It looks like, which is all we want.
Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve, dude. It's
Yeah.
I know it's a little cold in New England. I was showing my wife the she's like, what's the
Oof.
what's the conversion in Celsius? So I showed her and -17. She was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that is brutal." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sunday morning, I walked outside after I took a shower, and the temperature was 3 degrees Fahrenheit here,
Ooh,
and my beard froze instantly when I walked outside.
that is
Yeah.
scary.
Still
Um
wearing shorts though, so
Dude, you
yeah.
are you are hardcore.
Yes, suck it, Mother Nature, suck it.
Yeah, listen. So we are bringing you episode 66 today. I want to see some fill in the blank. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we got a good one. That's a nice little shout out to Zach. So we got you, Z man.
Hmm.
But today we're going to cover some Major League Baseball content. We'll cover some football content for you, and we'll get you guys off on your Christmas Eve. So,
Yeah.
listen, let's dive into Major League Baseball action first. Kind of some somber news right around the Christmas time. But Ricky Henderson passed away, and at
Yeah.
65 years old. Just crazy. And you know what's nuts, and I want to let you talk about him for a second, but I remember this iconic photo of him stealing a base and like pulling the base out of the yeah, and
So
just holding that. So cool,
that's when he
man.
broke Lou Brock's record.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
such an iconic moment, and he was kind of towards the end when I was growing up, but
sure.
just so cool to see like the way it used to be, right? It just
Yeah,
he was a nice bridge between generations, I thought.
yeah. He's a guy that I'm going to be honest with you. He was definitely misunderstood. And if you ever get a chance, there's a book that came out last year about Ricky Henderson, just called Ricky, by this guy named Howard Bryant, who really good author, really good columnist. And yeah, it was just I read it. I read it last year, and it was really good. But Ricky Henderson was like a weird dude, and spoke in the third person a lot. Uh, Born on Christmas Day, which is kind of the most Ricky Henderson thing ever.
Yeah.
And it just like I think my favorite thing is everybody has a Ricky story, and they're all different. And all the stories that I've read were all in this book, which is fantastic. And like
Yeah.
the all-time leader in stolen bases, the all-time leader in runs scored. He was, until Bonds broke it, the all-time leader in walks, which is really impressive.
Yeah. Which
Um,
why a guy that steals so many bases? I mean, that's what happens when you're dangerous at the plate and you're
yeah,
dangerous on base. Like I don't know, well, walking a guy like that is just asking for it.
at age 39, he led the league in steals.
Yeah, which is wild,
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. He played for the Red Sox in '02,
Hmm.
and so we got like a year of Ricky, and it was a treat. Like he didn't play a ton; he only played like 70 games, but he still had 16 steals at
Yeah,
age at age 43.
yeah,
Like
that's nuts.
my favorite Ricky Henderson stat, and I just read this morning. He is the all-time leader in steals under 30 years old and over 30 years old. And he's the only person on that both lists.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
It's nuts. Yeah, but like all around good player, uh hell of a leadoff. Oh, also holds the record for most leadoff home runs in a career in a game.
hmm.
He's done that 81 times. Hit a home run to start the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine like okay, so
He had
like
297 home runs total in his career. 81 of them were in the first at bat of the game, which is insane.
yeah, that
That's an
is just
insane statistic.
it really is when you think about it because oh man, that is like a third of his home runs came
Yeah.
from the first at bat. That's
Yeah.
wild, man. Really, really
Yeah.
cool.
When he was done, his team was up 1-0, 81 times at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's half of a season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally
Crazy.
half. Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Really
Yeah.
cool. Um So, rest in peace, bud.
Yeah.
We will move on to a little bit of free agency. Now, we'll talk about your favorite team, the Yankees. Uh,
Real quick, legally, I am obligated to tell you, fuck the Yankees. But
okay,
go on. Okay.
yeah. Anything you want to throw out to Uncle Raj or?
I mean, other than the Yankees suck. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
loving these.
It-
For those of you that don't know, I'm loving these voice clips being passed back and forth. Where
yeah.
it's just, it's
At some
so
point, we're gonna cut
funny.
out the middleman, and I think that's really where the gloves are gonna come off.
Yeah, I can't
Like,
wait. I can't wait for that.
yeah.
At that point, I'll need you to forward the conversations to me so I can stay in the loop.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
or maybe we just make a group and then we can
yeah.
do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Would love that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I think we just got an idea. So,
Ooh.
all right. So, Goldsmith to the Yankees. How do you feel on what are your feelings about this?
Um, if this was the Paul Goldschmidt of like, I don't know, 6 years ago, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
But dude's just not the same player anymore.
Hmm.
Um, he's gonna be 37 going into this season,
Yeah.
and it's cool. It gives the Yankees a bat, but like I don't really fear him. Um, yeah, I just don't really fear him. And the Yankees are going to do this thing, and I fucking hate it. Or because they have Bellinger as well,
Yep.
they're going to be like, "Oh, we have 4 MVPs in our lineup," and it's like, get fucked. Like,
Yeah.
cool. Cody Bellinger was an MVP once. Cody Bellinger can barely hit 260 anymore. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
guy, and
Also,
like, yeah,
keep in mind Bellinger like was an MVP. Correct me if I'm wrong with the Dodgers, but he did that in a loaded lineup.
yeah,
A lo-
2019,
yeah,
yeah,
a loaded lineup.
yeah,
So I mean, again, he's still got to be able to do stuff. He's still got to be able to get the hits, the home runs, drive in the runs, all that stuff. But it helps when you got guys on base and guys batting you around as well. It just,
yeah. And he's had a bit of a resurgence with the Cubs the last couple of
yeah,
years
yeah,
because
he is.
the Dodgers straight. He was so bad for the Dodgers at one point. This is how bad he was. Like, I'm a big wins above replacement guy. Like,
Hmm.
I really value that stat. Back in 2021, he had a negative wins above replacement of
which is
1.7.
which is
Like,
scary.
to be that bad, like you have to try to be that bad. So,
Man,
um,
that's a
but
brutal
the Cubs
streak.
kind of rejuvenated his career,
Hmm.
and the Cubs got some value and traded him, and yeah, so good bat for the lineup, and he plays first base and he plays the outfield. So, and I don't think the Yankees are going to bring back Rizzo. So, like,
My thing of it is like I still don't see even with these additions the Yankees being able to replace Soto. Well, like you can't replace Soto. I get that, but at the same
no,
time, it doesn't feel like it doesn't even feel like a band-aid. It feels like two lines of string across a wound. Like it just doesn't feel good.
there
Um,
are just too many guys in this lineup that I want to choose my words carefully here. There are just too many guys in this lineup that have to all stay healthy for this team to work. And when you have a lineup built of all guys like that, that kind of worries me.
mhm,
Like, sure, you can catch lightning in a bottle and maybe they'll all stay healthy, but like, I I I don't know, man. I just don't see that.
mhm.
So,
Well, let's talk about your Red Sox now. Sandoval goes to the Red Sox. Like, are you happy with this? And we also we'll talk about Bueller as well.
um, he's gonna start the year on the IL, so like, that is what that is.
Hmm.
A friend of mine the other day was telling me, and it's been so long, I forgot about this. We're gonna have Sandoval and Lucas Giolito start the year on the IL, and I forgot that we signed Lucas Giolito last season. I forgot all about that because he didn't throw a single pitch for us. So yeah, I think Sandoval's another arm, and I love that, and um, I'm actually kind of weirdly excited for Walker Bueller. Now I know this guy's had a couple Tommy Johns already, which kind of
Hmm.
worries me, but he's pitching for a contract. We gave him 1 year. We have him a 1 year deal, $21 million contract. Like, he's pitching so he can get a big deal,
Yeah,
and like I that can only benefit us.
yeah.
Like, And if he sucks for us or gets hurt, like we move off of him in a year. Like
which can
so,
happen. But who knows? You could end up in a Chris Sale situation where he does very well for you, you know, and
yeah,
possibly re-sign him after that, depending on how
yeah.
he does.
Sandoval, I'm less looking forward to just because he's not good. He's just not good.
Hmm.
Like, dude has a career record of 19 and 45. Um, that's just not good. Like, that's not like
Which is
his.
crazy because you look at the deal that he got, and it was a couple years, right? 2, 3
Yeah,
years. And I look at that and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, he's making millions of dollars, and that's his record.
yeah, yep. He got $18.18 million from the Red Sox, which
Okay.
is over 2 years. So like it's not terrible, but like the fact that we're gonna give $9 million for a guy that's gonna start the year on IL,
Hmm.
and again, and I cannot stress this enough, has a career record of 19 and 45.
Big things are happening in
I
Boston.
guess.
So,
I guess.
what
You know,
about the Astros? They get Christian Walker. It looked like it was 3 years, 60 million, or right around there. So what ends up happening with that? You think
if
that's
you're
good for them?
wondering, if you're wondering, boy, I've seen the Astros offer this deal to a first baseman before. Yes, because they're currently paying for one named Jose Abreu, who was awful for them. And they're just kind of replacing him with Christian Walker, who kind of does the same thing. Hits a lot of home runs, but strikes out a ton.
Hmm.
And he doesn't even hit that. Like he hit 26 homers last year, which is like good. Um, and him playing in Houston means like he should be able hypothetically to mash a bunch more. But like, yeah, they're gonna pay 20 million a year for a guy that hits two is a career 250 hitter. So like,
So if he gets 25 home runs and strikes out 200 times, like we're, you know,
yeah, no, I mean he only struck out 133 times last year, so there's
okay.
that. And he's also 33, so like this just feels like they didn't learn their lesson. And I think you're just going to see a repeat of what happened to Jose Abreu in Houston,
Hmm.
where the end is going to fall out really quickly for him, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Uh, Jock Peterson goes to the Rangers, which is funny. It feels like he's trying to play for every team in Major League Baseball. Is that?
yeah. Well, also that's I should say shout out Ricky Henderson because he's always great. Uh, I don't know if I play this game on Baseball Reference every day called Immaculate Grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's a 3x3 grid where like you have to pick a person that's played for like two teams, and Ricky Henderson usually is somebody you can pencil into a lot of slots because he's played for so many teams. And Josh
Yeah.
Peterson's quickly on that route, and
Yeah. He
as
is.
a uh, as a hardcore enthusiast of this game, I love to see it. Love to see it. So,
Yeah.
but Texas is kind of building a lineup of like dudes that can weirdly mash and which is cool, except they need guys that still can pitch
Hmm.
because that was kind of their problem last year. Like their two big aces are Jacob DeGrom and Max Scherzer, and DeGrom's going to allegedly start the year. Again, I use allegedly as the key word here. So yeah, cool for Texas that they got another guy that can hit, um, but also at the same time, yeah, still need pitching. So
Yeah. I think we are still waiting to hear on Corbin Burns, Pete Alonso, and Alex Bregman.
yeah,
Uh,
Bregman's a Boris guy, so like they're gonna wait that out for a while. Pete Alonso, I think like when it's all said and done, I think he's gonna resign with the Mets.
mhm. I think
Um,
that's the best situation for him, even if he's got to take a little bit less. Uh,
yeah,
with Soto being there, but I
the
don't know,
problem is
man.
like Pete Alonso has been buns the last couple of regular seasons,
Mm,
but his postseason performance this year kind of, I think he's gonna recoup a little bit of that money.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then what about Corbin Burns? You hear anything? Are you shaking the tree on this one?
no, I just I made the joke to a friend the other day. I was like, who asked me the same thing. They're like, "Yeah, where do you think Corbin Burns is going to go?" And I joked the Dodgers because, like, why not?
Yeah.
Um, but like, I don't think that's actually going to happen. My fear is that I would have said the Yankees before Max Fried signed with him for a bazillion dollars, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a world where I think he goes back to Baltimore.
Hmm.
I don't want that just because he's a division. Like, I don't need Baltimore to keep getting better. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want that. But like, I keep hearing like Toronto. I keep like reading like Toronto, but like Toronto, like nobody wants to go to Toronto.
Yeah. Question for you. Doesn't Detroit have a ton of cap space?
They sure do. They sure do.
Is that like I feel like that would be an excellent signing for them.
I feel like if the Tigers got Corbin Burns, I think your dad might have a stroke just from how happy he would be. Like that somebody wants to go to Detroit.
Yeah, by
What?
the way, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at the
Yeah,
thought of how excited he would be for that.
yeah,
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 it's
yeah. No, like that's honestly that. Like if that happens, him and Scooble as a 1-2 in a rotation, you can't ask for much of a better rotation than that.
yeah, that's really good. Two
So, and
young
a good
guns
manager at AJ Hinch. Yeah,
could figure some
yeah.
stuff out. Anyone else you want to talk about that we didn't mention?
No, well, real quick with Bregman, word on the street is like the Sox are interested in him,
Hmm.
and that like Raffy Devers would move to first if that were the case. And Bregman's a guy that like if you have him on your team, you fucking love him. Like you love him. But man, if he does not play for your team, he's just an asshole. He is. Like he's just the biggest. You're just like you're always mad at him. You're like, God, this guy, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's
So when on the off chance we do sign him, this conversation never happened that I hate this guy. Love him.
okay.
I'll be like, yeah, I love him. Great,
Okay.
great
Yeah.
guy,
Hey, I mean,
great guy,
listen,
stand up guy.
you got to roll with it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. Well, let's transition into the NFL. The first thing, let's talk about that Commanders Eagles game. I mean, first of all, wow. I know you were very happy because of fantasy that you didn't start Jalen Hurts. He ends up getting injured there
Yeah.
at the beginning. But let's talk about that because Eagles go up early, 14 zip, and then all of a sudden it seems like the Commanders just started to climb back into the game. And so I mean, Jaden Daniels put on an absolute show. And granted,
Sure
I
did.
think the craziest thing about this game was the Eagles were a team that we were talking about last week is like, okay, well, this is a Super Bowl favorite team with what's going on in Detroit, with them getting injured and, them having like almost a full team on IR. The Eagles seem to be the team that everyone is looking to in the NFC. Like, this is the team to beat, right? And then they go out and just kind of played. Yeah, they lost Jalen Hurts, but kind of just lost a lackluster game. And in a game in which their defense forced what 5 turnovers.
Yeah, they were up what 27-14 going into the fourth. And yeah, and then Washington just kind of got some two quick scores, and before you knew it, they were down one. And then yeah, just got weird at the end. And you hope that Barkley had a huge game.
Yeah,
Like
but
if you told like
in the first half, but
yeah,
then they just like didn't run him anymore. And I like they did, right? Like he had 20, well, I think 29 carries in the game, something like that. But he had
yeah,
105 yards, something like that in the first quarter.
yeah.
He finished the rest of the game with 45 more yards. Like what is going on? Like it's crazy.
It reminds me,
He's
it's the old
ridiculous too.
Baltimore, it's the old Baltimore playbook. Get a big lead and then just decide, you know what, fuck it, we're not going to run the ball anymore because
Yeah.
I don't know, pick any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think Hurts like if I'm Philly this week, I just sit Hurts because like sure you still have a shot at the 1 seed, but like
Well,
at this point you're going to win the division.
yeah.
Um, you're going to win the division probably. It's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at worst, you're going to do is a 3 seed. You're going to host a home playoff game. If I'm Philly, I just try to get right and get healthy for the playoffs. That's what I try to do.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see things now, and like it's just a crazy crazy week. But like, say th- this is the thing, we may not even know until after this week exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of big games this week. Like, well, especially like I think about Detroit and San Francisco. Like that, Detroit like needs this game.
Well,
Like they
yeah,
cannot let up.
and the same thing. So, and I'm glad you brought them up because Minnesota needs to win against Green Bay, and that's a big game coming up for them. If and then you could be looking at Detroit and Minnesota each being 14-2 heading into the
Yeah.
last game of the season where they have to play each other, which could decide the one seed.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. If Minnesota wins out, like they get the 1 seed,
Yeah.
which
Insane.
is bananas to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bananas.
It's absolutely bonkers. And people could say like, "Oh, they haven't played anyone tough or whatever it is." Like they've had to go through that division. They've had to play Detroit twice, Green Bay twice,
Yeah.
Chicago as bad as Chicago was this year. They've, there's still a good defense. But like, I mean, I look at Minnesota, they're 8-2 in the conference. So it's not like they haven't played anybody, right? Like
Yeah.
it's they've beaten some good teams. They've won a lot of close games. I will say that. But they're 7-0 on the road, dude.
Yeah. The only team they've lost to in the division is Detroit.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
And
and the NFC North's a good division this year.
yeah. That
Like,
that game in particular too, where they lost to Detroit was Detroit won 31-29.
yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is it's insane, man. Like that is could you imagine that? We've never had that before where it's like, "Oh yeah, Detroit could be looking at going on the road."
Yeah.
This after the last week of the season, we that could happen. It's
And
nuts.
going back to Philly too, like Philly still has a shot at the 1 seed.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
do.
thing. Like
They do.
they kind of need some things to break their way, but like they still have an outside shot at the 1 seed, so they kind of have to keep showing up and keep playing. And like for Philly, I think their schedule is a little easier. The rest, yeah, they have Dallas and the Giants that finish the year.
Yeah, so
Like,
they should win both of those games kind of running away though. I know Dallas is trying to play spoiler. But I mean Dallas is both of the teams have been eliminated, so they're just going to try to play them tough. But
yeah,
my what I'm wondering too is because so yeah, so they're in the they don't even have an opportunity to kind of see what happens in the games and possibly sit Hurts because
yeah,
they're going to be one of the first ones to play at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So it
yeah,
just I don't know, man. It's a very interesting situation. The AFC is interesting too. Like I love this coming down to the last game of the season type deal. Uh,
Cincinnati, man. Like I can't believe like you have hung with them,
yeah.
and I mean, they got to win out. And they need some help,
They
but
they
like,
need a lot of help, man, because right now, Miami, Cincinnati, and the Colts all have 7-8 records, and both Miami and Indy have it over them. But
yeah,
this is the issue. So you've got the Chargers and the Broncos. Now the Chargers and the Broncos just played this past week. So by the Chargers winning, I'm sorry. Yeah, by the Chargers winning and beating the Broncos, they kept the Broncos from making the playoffs. They also got themselves one game closer. So I really wanted
yeah,
Denver to win that game so that like maybe something could have happened. But remember when they played Cincinnati and at the end of the game, McPherson misses that field goal and then it goes into
yeah,
overtime.
yeah.
Well, the interesting part about that is they own the tiebreaker over Cincinnati. So really right now, the only way for Cincinnati to get in is if Denver loses out.
Yeah,
Denver
I
loses
heard this
out,
the other
Miami
day.
loses out, Indy
Yeah, and
loses as
Denver has
well.
to win one game and they're in. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Denver just has
Yep.
to win one of the next two and they're in.
Yep. So if Denver wins that because they're going to reach 10 wins, no other team can reach that. So if Denver
Yeah,
wins this week and the Chargers win this week, which by the way, Denver's playing Cincinnati, so
yeah,
that's like a big thing. But then the Chiefs play Denver next week, and the Chiefs might have something to play for as well. They might not, but they might have something to play for. But I could easily see that if the Chiefs win this week I could see them throwing the game next week to make sure Burrow doesn't make the playoffs. I'd much rather play Denver in the
Well,
playoffs
I think
than
for the
play the
Chiefs, if they
Bengals.
win this week, like next week doesn't matter to them because if they win
Yeah.
this week, they clinch the 1 seed.
Yep.
So like to them, they're just going to rest everyone.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy when you look at it. Like some teams have had some extreme success this year. You've got 14 wins with Kansas City, 13 with Detroit, 13 with Minnesota, and then Green Bay is nothing to sneeze at. They've won 11 games.
Yeah,
11 games. Like,
I watched more of that New Orleans game than I thought I was going to last night.
yeah,
Green Bay, fun fact, Green Bay got the first shutout of the year in this league.
really?
Yeah,
No other team has been shut out this year.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's brutal. I mean, granted, they're playing against the skeleton crew there in New Orleans, but
Christian Watson did go down with a really bad looking injury though. So
yeah, yeah. Some
yeah,
bad
Green
injuries
Bay,
on the week with Tank Dell as well going down. That really
and
hurts
Tank
Houston.
Dell is out for the season.
Yeah, I mean,
But they
Tank
did sign was the guy from Baltimore that refused to play.
Yeah.
Devontae Johnson.
Deontay Johnson. Yeah, like I just oh man. What is that? It just I don't know. Speaking of the Ravens, like well, before we get onto them, the window's closing for the Bengals, right? But they need a little bit of help. I'm still holding out hope that something can happen. They've obviously got to beat Denver this week, and then hope that Kansas City still beats Denver. I don't know, man. I don't think that's going to happen because I just don't see them with anything to play for. You know, Kansas City is just not going to have much to really trot out there. This week they're playing against the Steelers. If the Steelers manage to beat the Chiefs on Christmas tomorrow, right? Like it's just I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, man. But I don't know. The Steelers really haven't been playing that great either. So it's I don't know, man. They need a little bit of help. I'd really like to see the Chiefs lose that game because it would create a lot of urgency, I guess you could say, for them to finish out.
I would too, but Kansas City is going to throw the kitchen sink at this game because if they win, if they can just win, they get 2 weeks off.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. They get 2 weeks off, and I think that
we get to watch Carson Wentz in Week 18.
Cool. Yeah.
I wonder what Denver's going to do to that. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Okay, so let's dive in on Ravens and Steelers real quick. So the Ravens beat the Steelers. They looked really good doing so, by the way. And I don't really give credit to the Ravens that often, but they looked really good. I mean, Derrick Henry in the first game, and just to give like a little comparison because I think that's important. First of all, I played against Derrick Henry this week in fantasy and got absolutely.
I was like, how'd that work out?
I got butt sniped by him this week. It was not fun. The first game that they played was a very low scoring affair in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won 18-16, and they kept Derrick Henry in check most of the time. They only ran the ball 13 times. Baltimore did. He rushed for 65 yards and got a touchdown. No big deal. So I expected something similar, but the Steelers said, we don't want to stop this guy. We're not afraid of him, and they paid for it to the tune of 162 yards. So Derrick Henry just absolutely crushed him. And by the way, you don't often see a Steelers team give up 220 yards rushing.
No.
220 yards rushing in a game. Thank you.
Yeah. This game was weird because first of all, Baltimore actually won a big game for once, which I was shocked by. I was absolutely shocked by because that's why I told you a couple of weeks ago I'm off Baltimore. I am.
Yeah.
I can't. They keep burning me when I say they're a better team this year, but then they keep losing big games, and I was like, cool, this is a huge game for them. Yeah. They're not going to win this, but they did, and I still don't trust them in the playoffs because I respectfully, if you take away Zay Flowers, no offense to Rashad Bateman, he's not gonna be the guy that cooks you.
Yeah, you got Mark Andrews, but that's more of 15 to 20 yard gains rather than
Right.
burning over the top. It just I don't know, man. Like I again, I just don't care for them, man. I just don't feel like this is a team that's really going to do well in the playoffs. And yeah, okay, Pittsburgh, they seem to be kind of having an identity crisis at running back, where this is a team that used to run the ball well. Yeah, they ran for 117 yards against Baltimore, but that's not what Arthur Smith does, right? Like it
Right.
seems like Najee has just kind of not been good for them recently. He had a few games in the middle of the season where he strung together a couple 100-yard weeks, but now it seems like they're transitioning to Jalen Warren, uh, and who just gives
Yeah,
them.
Jalen Warren got 12 carries
Yeah,
over
yeah,
Najee Harris 9.
but not
Yeah.
so much that, dude. Like he's a good running back out of the backfield. Like caught all five of his targets for 44 yards, added that on, and like you
Yeah.
look at that, like that he's a big reason they were able to move the ball. You look at what the rest of the receivers were able to do. I mean, they're under 200 yards receiving the rest
Well,
of the
I think
way.
what needs to be said here is they are missing George Pickens.
Yeah, okay. So they are I
In the
st-
last 2 games, they haven't had Pickens, and they've lost both of those games. Like,
yeah.
Pickens is a big part of that offense because
He makes some
Pickens gives you 2
ridiculous
big plays a
catches.
game.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, he really
yep.
does. So we'll see what ends up happening, but again, I still don't feel great again about Baltimore. I could see them losing in the first round of the playoffs and not being surprised.
Well, real test for them Christmas Day tomorrow. They have to face Houston, and Houston's defensive line is
Yeah, dude,
good luck.
they've been wreaking
Like, this is a
havoc.
real test for there's a real test for that offensive line for Baltimore, how
Yeah,
good they really are. Because
yeah,
Will Anderson is going to blow up everyone.
yeah. You know, this is the crazy thing about it. So watching that game, so they only got one sack on Patrick Mahomes, but this was the thing. Like the QB hits that they had were kind of vicious.
Yeah.
Like
Mahomes spent a lot of that game running for his life.
yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
I don't know that their defense is good. They didn't show all of what they can do, but they kept that game pretty close with Kansas City.
Well, that I think that Tank Dell injury was, I think, just a crushing blow to them
Yeah,
emotionally.
that was really tough to see that on television and stuff. It was really tough to see that. And to see
Yeah.
obviously it really affected CJ Stroud because that's his boy, you know, they're best friends. It just man, really tough thing to see go around. Um Yeah, man. Again, I'm just I don't feel good about the Ravens and stuff. I just wanted to mention about the Vikings real quick because I read an article where Justin Jefferson, first of all, like he had a beast of a game over the Seahawks, but um, I wrote initially in the notes that I felt like this team was going to get beat in the first round of the playoffs, unless they're the one seed, right? Um, Maybe if Philly loses, well, they can't be the two seed, right? Because they're in the same division as Detroit. But
Right.
it just I don't know. For me, I feel like them winning Justin Jefferson said something very big. He made drew comparisons to the team at LSU that won the championship, and he was saying that like winning all of these close games isn't as bad as you think it is. What it is them being able to overcome adversity as a team, and it's really brought them together more. And I think that's a
Yeah.
super important thing to understand, like a very big concept with trying to understand what that does to a football team, because really having that thought, having those feelings, like even what the Chiefs do too, when they're winning all those crazy games by like a blocked field goal against Denver and all of this stuff, like it really does bring you together as a team. A win is a win, and you find ways to draw the positive out and continue going out there to fight. And I like Kevin O'Connell's mantra of like, let's get 1-0. Let's be 1-0 at the end of this week. I think that's really important because it's not thinking too far ahead. It's thinking about the mission at hand and trying to figure out ways to make it work.
Can I can I ask you a question? And
Yeah.
this question is going to make me sound kind of like a jerk. And it's not that I don't believe in the Vikings. I think they're a very real team, but like, how is this team not different from the team 2 years ago that went 11-0 in one score games and then got bounced by the Giants in round one by Daniel Jones and the Giants in round one of the playoffs?
So
Ask, yeah, tell me that's not the same team, because that's what it kind of feels like to me.
It feels that way, but this is the difference in that. Now they had a lot of crazy moments, right? Like the Justin Jefferson catch against the Bills on 4th down, right, where he goes up
Yeah.
and kind of like picks it up off over his head and all of that. But this is the way that I feel differently about this team is when I look at the playoffs, like teams that they would possibly play, right? So if they're going to be if they lose right one game, they're going to be the automatically the 5 seed,
Yeah.
right? So they go to the 5 seed. Well, the 5 seed's going to play the lowest seeded person, right?
Yeah, they'd play the 4 seed.
What I mean is the lowest seeded
Yeah.
from 1 to 4, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
the division winners, yeah.
for better terms, right? They're going to play the worst of the top 4 teams,
Which is Atlanta or the
supposedly.
Rams.
Right. So
Yeah.
right now, Atlanta, do you think Minnesota is going to beat Atlanta?
Oh, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's a close
And
game, dude.
respectfully, if it's Tampa out of that division, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think I'm actually scared of a Baker Mayfield wild card team because he is all of a sudden he just could show up and throw 5 touchdowns. Like I don't know. Baker is nuts. He's unpredictable. I don't feel as I actually almost think they're very similar. Not quite without Chris Godwin, but I think that team is very similar to how Cincinnati is.
Yeah.
I think they are. I think they're very, very close to that. So if they get in, that could be dangerous too. But the way I see it right now, I think Minnesota beats Atlanta. I also think they beat the Rams, which it's crazy that we're talking about the Rams being the 3 seed at this time.
There aren't many coaches that are better than Kevin O'Connell, but Sean McVay is one of them.
He is, but this is the thing. They still got to go out and play. And that defense right now in Minnesota, they've been excellent all year.
Yeah.
They really have. Like, they've been giving, even when Sam Darnold, right at the beginning, it was like, oh, Sam Darnold comes out, he throws 3 touchdowns. Like, well, who is this guy? He's incredible, all of this. And then when he started to make mistakes, it was the defense getting him the ball back. And now I look at it, they figured out a way to kind of meld, like even when he does make mistakes, they're there to pick him up, right? It's just, I feel like the defense has been very good this year. Their offense is loaded with playmakers. TJ Hawkinson's back now too, which is, he's a nightmare, dude, to have to cover a guy like that. Jordan Addison's a very good player. You look at Jefferson, I mean, it speaks for himself how good he is. Aaron Jones, he's on the mend, he's getting healthy. Like, it's going to be a tough team to take out, man.
Right.
I agree with you. The Rams do have good playmakers, right? Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. You look at Kyron Williams there too. I don't know, man. Are they a sure bet to beat the Vikings? I don't know. They'll be playing at home, but this is the thing. It's not going to be a poor weather game. If it's played in LA, it's going to be good weather. If they're playing in Atlanta, it's going to be in a dome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when it gets to playoff time, I think the thing is if you can have a really good coach that can ski that's kind of an added advantage. And I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell's not a good coach.
Right.
He is. Like, if I'm going to choose between him and Sean McVay, I'm going to choose McVay.
You're going to pick the guy that remembers the one play from week 16, 7 years ago, and the exact play call, what happened, and why he called that play at that point.
And also, respectfully, I'm going to say this as well. Stafford's done it in the playoffs before.
Yeah, he has.
And respectfully to Sam Darnold, he hasn't.
I don't know, man. Like, it has the feeling that, especially after the Seattle game too, and granted, I wasn't able to watch it live, but to be able to watch the clips afterwards, it felt like Justin Jefferson is stepping up and saying, like, trying to put the game on his shoulders and saying, listen, give me a chance, throw the ball to me and give me a chance. It just, I don't know, man. This team feels a little bit different to me. Aaron Jones came in for a reason. It's crazy to look at the turmoil that this team went through this year with losing J.J. McCarthy at the beginning of the year. And now to see where they are and how well they've done. And people, I was writing them off after that. And I said, oh, dude, there's no way. Like, I didn't think they were going to be this good.
Can I ask you a question? And I heard this on another podcast. And this isn't even like an original thought from me. But like, how far does Sam Darnold have to get in the playoffs before Minnesota re-signs him?
I think if he wins one game in the playoffs, I think they have to re-sign him. I don't think there's a question, man. Who are you going to bring in that's going to know the system and understand the system? That's going
Well,
to
they have JJ McCarthy waiting in the
Oh,
wings.
okay, but you know how
Yeah.
valuable a backup quarterback is, or having a starting quarterback is. JJ McCarthy's on his rookie contract. It's a no brainer for me. Spend the money. Keep Darnold there.
Hear me out. I don't think Sam Darnold needs to win a game in the playoffs. I think re-sign him.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's a sure thing at that point, right?
yeah,
For him to
I
come
think
back. But I
I
think
think he's going to get a
Minnesota.
Geno Smith contract. That like 3 years, $100 million.
Listen, what I don't want to see Minnesota do the same thing they did last year. Now, granted, it seems like, and I know what people are going to say, like, oh yeah, like they did the right thing in moving off Kirk Cousins. They didn't. Kirk would have
They
been
did.
Kirk would have been okay there this year and stuff. I think he would have been. I
Would
really
he?
do. I think so, dude. In my mind, and this is something that no one's talking about, which is very frustrating to me. Atlanta's offensive line is meant to run the ball. Minnesota's offensive line not only runs the ball, like they're good at run blocking, but they're very good at pass blocking. I think Kirk Cousins in this system would have done better this year. I really do, man. I really
I
do.
I disagree because he's the guy that like he's and I think this has been shown this year is like he's a 36-year-old guy coming off an Achilles injury.
Okay, I understand that piece of it, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like I'm not saying they would have been 13-2, but to say they wouldn't have made the playoffs, I think that's crazy. They definitely would have made the playoffs with him as their quarterback this year. I just I don't know, man. Like the way that things have kind of folded in Atlanta for him, it hasn't gone well, right? It hasn't gone
Oh,
well, but he's not the only one to blame. I'm looking at some of the other stuff going on there, dude. Like Kyle Pitts is really not a dude.
yeah. Shout
I
out Kyle Pitts, who I drafted as a second tight end early because I was like, yeah, maybe. And I haven't started him in I don't know how many weeks.
Yeah, because you thought that he was going to get 8, 9 targets a game.
That interception that Penix had was 100% not Penix's fault. I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw it,
yeah,
but like, I don't know. I don't even know what Kyle Pitts was trying to do there. I
me
don't even
neither.
know.
I
Like,
I watched it 4 times and then I gave up.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
just I don't know. It's frustrating. We could talk all day about Atlanta and stuff, but it's just I'm just happy with the way things have gone in Minnesota. I think
yeah.
Sam Darnold, they've got to re-sign him. I don't think they have a choice in it, man. I really do. And this is the thing. You said, okay, they got JJ McCarthy in the wings. We don't even know what JJ McCarthy is.
Yeah.
He hasn't played one snap in the NFL. Not one. We don't know how good he is.
Yeah, if I'm Minnesota, I give Darnold the Geno Smith deal where it was like I think Geno was like what 3 for 100 or 3 for like 75, like
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in that range, and I
Yeah.
think that way you can kind of hedge your bets both ways.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe
Like,
they give him a 2 year deal or something. Maybe he wants more. Dude, if I were him, I wouldn't say this is the thing. He can make good money there and get and be comfortable. But if he tries to go somewhere else and is like, yo, I'm gonna chase the contract, chase the money, like I don't think
which
he's
I
get
wouldn't fault him for.
I
I
wouldn't,
wouldn't
but
fault him for.
I don't think it's the right decision for him if he wants to have success. If he's just after the money, okay. But
I agree.
this was the perfect situation for him with the right playmakers, with the right things going his way, and on top of that, that's with losing his starting left tackle this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I don't think he can go elsewhere. Like drop him into New England or Miami. Is he having the same success?
No, no. I think Darnold's got to realize like if your option like there aren't many receivers that are better than Justin Jefferson, if any. Um,
Yeah, there's
that's a
only
really good
one in the league, I
situation.
would say. Maybe
Yeah.
a second one could be argued with CD. But past that, I don't know. I can't,
I mean,
dude.
minus Joe Burrow dying, like the only other receiver you'd want to throw to in the NFL right now is Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Respectfully, like,
Yeah.
yeah, if I'm Sam Darnold, like, and if he wants to chase the money, I respect the hell out of that man
Yeah.
because like he's earned it, he's earned it. But like from a football situation, I think Sam Darnold's smart enough to be like, wait, so you're telling me I can throw to T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson?
And
That's gravy.
and
That's gravy.
I can play 9 games. Well, not 9 games, but 8 games a year in a dome.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
I'll do that.
Actually, more than that because like 9, because Detroit always plays in a dome.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So at least
So you get to
9.
play at least 9 to 10 games a year in a dome.
Yep.
Like great.
Yeah.
Absolutely like great.
Yeah. Really, really good.
So
I wrote this about the Cowboys upsetting the Bucks. It wasn't really, it didn't move the
ooh,
needle that much for me, but
I don't
just
know. The end of that game was weird.
I wasn't able to see the end of it. What ended up happening wasn't there like the Bucks came back and tried to tie it up, but
Yeah, so the Bucks were driving, and Baker Mayfield complete the pass to Rashad White, and then like you just looks like that Rashad White gets like tackled, but it turns out like somebody like the ball got ripped out of his hands
hmm.
on the way down, and that's how the game ended.
Uh,
Bonkers, just bonkers. Um, yeah, somebody in the NFC South legally has to win that division. Um, so there's that,
hmm.
and they get to host a playoff game. So again, there's that. So yeah, I mean I think that like Tampa in one game could really upset somebody.
Yeah.
Um, just because like again, Bucky Irving's kind of been a revelation. They have kind of Tampa has this weird two-headed monster at running back that's like
Yeah.
kind of fun. Um, and then they have Mike Evans, which just throw it in that guy's vicinity in the end zone, and he's gonna go catch it. So
Yeah. Yep.
there are worse things.
Yeah, there really is. Let's transition to fantasy real quick before we wrap up. Listen, let's start with you, man. And again, I don't want to crush your juju, anything like that, but you had a massive win in fantasy. Just putting up some
Yeah,
just bonkers
took
numbers.
down the number one seed. Yep.
Yeah. And it
Yep.
wasn't even close either. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Again, shout out Jared Goff and Jameer Gibbs getting me 61 points combined. So like
So I just wanted to ask, like, how are you feeling going into the championship? How's the matchup look for you? Like, what are you feeling on that?
matchup's not looking great. Because Detroit plays San Francisco this week, and I have George Kittle, Jameer Gibbs, and Jared Goff. So like
It could be shootout central though.
it could. And that but the person I'm playing, I think, has Brock Purdy,
Hmm.
I think. So like I kind of have to be careful how many touchdowns Brock Purdy throws. And if he's gonna throw them, please throw them all to George Kittle, is my request.
Which would be incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm still putting in the work. Gotta I've been doing a lot, reading a lot into the matchups and just trying to like I think about it a lot, try to make good sound decisions. And yeah, I'm excited. I can't finish any worse than second, which for my first year in this league is I'll take considering how I started. And I think that does mean I get to win some money. So like that's pretty cool.
yeah, that's always nice as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
y-
I can't wait to see that vet. And I have a shot at winning. I played this guy once this year and I lost, and this was when I was in that 0-5 stretch, and I got killed by him.
mhm.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, and yeah, hoping for the best.
Yeah,
Hoping for the best, but
definitely wishing you a lot of luck too. I feel like you don't need it, but um, yeah, your team has really come on strong, and it's so funny to see your record at 7-7, because I don't think that's quite representative of like how good you did in the second half of the year. And
yeah,
now the fact that you got into the playoffs and were able to cause some severe damage to some other teams really was kind of incredible to
yeah,
watch.
yeah. I've been an underdog the whole way. In the team the number one seed in our league, like she had a good team. She had a
Yeah.
really good. She put up 100, almost 150 points, which any other week wins for you.
Yeah. Yep. Except last week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kind of a lot of that
Yeah,
going around. Mhm.
yeah. What? Yeah. Let's talk about you, man. You same thing happened to you in one of your leagues.
Yeah, so things didn't quite work out for me in one of my leagues. I got invited to this one league of buddies, college buddies and stuff, and I've just been absolutely just dropping dimes on people all year. Like I I've been crushing people. It's been so satisfying to like go through that league and just have a really solid team. And then I started to lose some guys, which wasn't good. I ended up losing David Montgomery last week, which wouldn't have made a difference. But this guy that I was playing against this week, and there's nothing more frustrating in fantasy when you are starting the week, watching the 1 o'clock games, and guys start to pop off for the other team, and you realize like my guys aren't popping at the same level,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
very demoralizing.
yeah, and you realize real quick, like it's not like it's a long the ones that are like very drawn out where you lose at the end. Usually I win those matchups. It's kind of crazy, but I did.
Yeah,
This was a very quick slice of the neck,
yeah,
and it was a deep cut, and it came out gushing because some of the guys that he had on his team were just like Chuba Hubbard and AJ
yeah,
Brown, and it just I don't know, it just Derrick Henry, it just kept coming and coming and coming. So it was really really not good. He put up 200 points on me, and which
yeah.
no one had even come close to all year. So, and meanwhile the most this guy had ever scored in a week was 132 points. So for
Well,
me to
that's the thing I worry about in the finals this week coming up for me is I've put up 190 back-to-back weeks in the playoffs, and I'm like, I just feel like the Bills come and due for that, man.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And
Your team is projected to just soar, man. It really is, and that's without
yeah,
Hurts in the lineup right now. It'd be 5 points higher if that was the case. But
yeah, yeah. I'm not starting Jalen Hurts this week.
yeah, lucky the guys that you have in are their teams are in the playoff hunt, so it's they need to produce. They have to.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I'm still alive in guillotine.
yeah.
One more.
What are the point totals going into this final week at Guillotine?
So it's one more week for the rotisserie for it. And I'm currently right now in the lead by 5 points. So
Ooh, that's
yeah, so it's very interesting what we have right now. But so I'm at 302 points through 2 weeks. Uh
mhm.
One of the guys behind me is at 297.
Yep.
Another guy's at 295, and then the guy with arguably one of the best teams is at 279.
So
So
all four teams are still in play.
all four teams are still in play. Yeah. The bottom team, yeah, he's 20. There's 23 points like between us right now, but that could be made up in a week.
Yeah,
Like
that just takes somebody getting 3 touchdowns in a game, and that's it.
yeah, I really need Josh Allen to not put up 6 points, and I'll be good, man. But I'm
Wait, do you have Josh Allen in your in
yeah in
Guillotine?
guillotine.
Yeah,
So
he had an off week.
yeah,
Not good.
it's not only that. I'm concerned about him this week too, because there's a good chance they could just shut him down. Um,
Yeah,
and I don't want that to happen. He did get a little banged up in the Pats game, so I'm a little concerned about that. And they're playing the Jets, which listen, it's not a bad matchup for him, but at the same time, like I don't know if they get up a couple scores, like do they really need him to continue pounding it? So there's a lot of money on the line this week in guillotine. So
sure is.
I'm
Yeah,
really hoping, but to be honest, that's not what I find the most solace in after this week.
yeah, yeah. Let's talk about what you find the most solace in.
All right,
Yeah,
so there's been a little bit from one of our viewers. Actually, there's been a little bit of harassment the
yeah,
last couple weeks in terms of fantasy football and talking smack and this and that, and getting late night messages about like how this person's gonna sell their tips to me for fantasy football next year and all this stuff. Well, uh, I not only did I beat this person this week in my league, it was by almost 45 points.
yeah, yeah. You beat that ass. Yeah,
And yeah, I beat that ass. And this is the thing.
yeah,
It just so happens that I'm related to this person too. Um
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
You know what? I think we should just call this what this is. It's your Uncle Roger,
yeah,
who shout out is a character in our lives that like is hard to describe.
he's a
You
full-grown
have to
Fred.
meet him. Yeah, yeah, it's like our friend Fred.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe him until you've spent time with him.
Yeah.
What kind
Um
of character he is.
yeah, so I want to point out that not only did I beat him, and I was trying to think of the punishment for that,
Mm,
but I have realized now through WhatsApp I will be making a business WhatsApp group, And
Yes.
so it's going to be a nice group that I'll invite you to. And every single day at a specific time, I will schedule a message to be sent to him, uh, reminding him that I beat him for
Mm.
the entire next year. So until
This
the
is why I
start,
love technology.
yeah,
I
until
this
the
is
start of
oh,
fantasy football next year, this message will go out, and I may
yeah.
change it at times because I want to keep it fresh.
Sure.
Maybe monthly we'll change it, but I want him
Yeah.
to remember this day.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, this is gonna get me through the winter.
yeah,
This alone, like, I'm
yeah,
really excited for that.
him talking all this crap about, oh, I'm going to take over the guillotine league, I'm going to take over your league, all this stuff. You guys are just going to be begging for tips from me. Well, he's just going to get the tip.
Yeah.
And yeah,
He should be the one begging you for tips.
that's what's going to happen now. And listen, I told
Yeah.
him to prepare, but he wouldn't prepare the way I told him to. So now,
You know you know how you start this? By telling him you're the superior Myro in the family.
yeah, I mean, I think he knows
Yeah.
that now. But this is the thing.
Yeah.
To quote Game of Thrones, this will not be over quickly. You will not enjoy this. So,
Good. Yeah.
yeah, good for you, Uncle Raj. So,
Yeah. I
and
can't wait.
I'm hoping that doesn't come back to bite me in the Guillotine League.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he was knocked out in the second week of
Yeah.
Guillotine this year. So, good luck next year, bud.
And I need you to know that like the for this week, I'm not gonna participate in that because I cannot afford to incur any bad mojo
Yeah,
or juju.
yeah.
Because I got a fancy championship to potentially win.
Yeah, we will
I
start
gotta
it. Yeah, we'll start it on the first
yeah.
of the new
Oh, you know
year.
what? New year, new you. That's
Yeah.
you know what?
New year,
Love that.
new you. I like
Love
that.
that.
So,
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to mention now that we've gotten our smack talk out? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just we're it's the holidays, so happy holidays to everybody that listens.
yeah.
Yeah, stay safe, be merry, do all the fun things, and yeah, yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for the support. We love you. And yeah,
Yeah.
have a wonderful Christmas with family. Be safe. And yeah, keep loving sports, guys. We really appreciate it.
All right, man.
I love you,
I love you.
bro. Peace.
Peace.